Well, they did it. They somehow were able to do it. Hello everyone, and welcome to the latest Minty reviews, and we are here to review the finale of Ahsoka. This one was titled The Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord, which I gotta say, for a finale, very fun title. Very, very fun title for the finale. And yeah, if you've been watching my reviews, you'll know that the last one I was a little disappointed with, just as a penultimate episode. I thought it was just a little bit nothing happening kind of a thing to set up for the finale. Like nothing really massive happened. There was some definite plot progression and stuff. However, I was only worried about this one given the track record of the other Disney Star Wars series on Disney+. That's the only reason why I was a little worried, because the other ones have been hit or miss, basically, based on the show. Like Mandalorian, I thought very much hit, but Book of Boba Fett as a series, was okay. Obi-Wan, was okay. But either way, we're here to talk about Ahsoka. And as I do normally with these reviews, I'm going to do a non-spoiler section up front, and then a spoiler section at the end. And the spoiler section is going to be pretty fun, because I got a lot to talk about here. And yeah, let's just get into the non-spoiler section, guys. Let's just get into the non-spoiler section. So non-spoilers here. Non-spoilers. This episode was great. This episode was absolutely phenomenal from top to bottom. Phenomenal. And it did a really, really great job of wrapping up the story that was given to us in this season of Ahsoka without knowing if we're going to get a season 2 or if it was leading to the movie that Dave Filoni's doing. Either one, doesn't really matter. But it gave a very great wrap up to that story, and honestly to the story that they had been telling since honestly Rebels as well, to at least the tying up of that story. And honestly, they kind of wrapped up a few other storylines too from other Star Wars properties or other Star Wars media, which was really, really cool. Now, there was a few things, if you really want to get in like the weeds and get into the nitty gritty of it, that kind of yet again makes the sequel trilogy a little weird in certain terms, but we'll get into that a little bit in spoiler section, not too much, because that's again like really nitty gritty, really into the weeds kind of stuff. But as an episode itself, this episode was phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal. Kind of everything you could ask for a finale. It had a lot of good action. It had a lot of really good character moments for certain characters. It had some really good story progression, and honestly some really good like threads that were still left dangling a little bit for a future season or for the movie or whatever they want to do. And it set up a lot of stuff for just the future in general. It did a lot of stuff really, really well. And honestly, let me just give a shout out to the actress here, because Rosario Dawson, she feels like Ahsoka now. She's still just a little bit less than animated Ahsoka, just a little bit less than Ashley Eckstein, but that just comes from Ashley Eckstein having done the role for so long. But Rosario Dawson, really, really good as Ahsoka right now. David Tennant, honestly, the sleeper MVP is Hu Yang. Every single scene with Hu Yang is great. Just simply great. Natasha Liu Bordizio is phenomenal as Sabine. Just absolutely phenomenal. Like it took me a couple episodes to get used to her as Sabine. By the end of this, I'm like, no, she's Sabine. She was a perfect casting for this role. She reminds me so much of animated Sabine, and she's just great. She's just so great. Diana Lee Inosanto, Bruce Lee's granddaughter, Morgan Elsbeth, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal as Morgan Elsbeth and as a main antagonist for this series. Just so great. Lars Mikkelsen reprising as Thrawn is such a phenomenal thing. Just absolutely phenomenal. Just killing it as per the usual with Thrawn. Still just a little understated as opposed to his animated version, but great. And then Iman Esfandi as Ezra really feels like Ezra. He has that heart in him as Ezra. So good. And then finally the big one at the end, Ray Stevenson. This is a little bit of a spoiler for this episode, but Ray Stevenson didn't really do anything this episode. We just get to see him, and it is such a tragic loss. The fact that he passed away shortly after the series wrapped filming, because his character of Baylan Skoll added such a level of gravitas to this series that to honestly to Star Wars in general that I hadn't really seen in a very long time, if at all. So his passing is felt even worse. The fact that his character is so well done and one of the most interesting things in this entire series. So rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. 100% rest in peace. And where they left his character off is a very intriguing thing to see what they do exactly with the character of Baylan Skoll and how they continue without Ray Stevenson, and if they recast or anything, which that's a weird thing to talk about, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But either way, for the non-spoiler section, that's basically it. This episode was great. It gave us a lot of really good things, and all the actors absolutely killing it. Also, Kevin Kiner killing it as per the usual on the music, and directed by Rick Famuyiwa. So good job, Rick Famuyiwa. Good directing out there. Good directing. But either way, that's about all I can say for a non-spoiler. So let's just get into the spoiler section, shall we? Let's just talk about this episode. So in 3, 2, 1, we got zombie stormtroopers, everyone. We got some zombie stormtroopers. So I kind of hinted this last week about them being called night troopers, because it says in the subtitles, if you listen to captioning, that they're called night troopers, and then they talk as night troopers. So night troopers are a thing from Legends. They are zombies. They're undead troopers. Yeah, we got those. We got undead troopers this time. It was pretty fun. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We start off this episode with a really awesome scene where the Night Sisters, or the great mothers of the Night Sisters, basically induct Morgan Elspeth into the Order to finally fully become a Night Sister. Very, very cool scene. They basically take her soul from her and they forge it into a really badass katana. I might be getting that wrong. It's a sword. Really badass sword. Might not be a katana. It lights up with green flame. It's very, very cool. So yeah, she becomes a full Night Sister with a badass sword. It's awesome. And of course, the granddaughter of Bruce Lee would get a ninja sword or a samurai sword. Of course she would, because it's cool and it's badass. But then we get down from there, we go back to the gang, to Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine, and we see Ezra building a lightsaber. He's building a lightsaber with Hu Yang. It's really cool. We get a nice, really awesome, touching scene where Hu Yang explains the fact that he helped teach Caleb Doom, or Kanan Jarrus, Ezra's master. Kanan, obviously from Rebels, that we don't see, sadly. I really wish we got a cameo of Kanan. I really wish we would have gotten like a Force Ghost cameo of him, but we didn't. It happens. It's one of those things that happens. We got a really great scene where Ezra's building his new lightsaber. It's a great looking lightsaber, and yes, we get Ezra with a lightsaber finally. That was something that was missing from last episode that I was hoping it would happen, and it happened in this one. So yay, we got Ezra being a Jedi and having a lightsaber and stuff, which is kind of funny because in the next scene after that, we get Ahsoka and Sabine talking about, you know, their kind of relationship as Master and Padawan, and Ahsoka basically is like, hey, you don't need a lightsaber to be a Jedi. To which all of us fans are like, no, you don't need a lightsaber to be a Jedi. However, they're really, really cool. So it's a lot better if you do have one, because it's really cool. But either way, we get a really cool scene there. Thrawn sends some TIE fighters out. They fight some TIE fighters. Sabine crashes the ship into the TIE fighters, and they got to repair the ship. So they're being put behind schedule. Thrawn's like, hey, that's fine. We can load up faster. We can get out of here. That's all they really care about. So skipping a little bit, we get the gang. They are on some howlers. They ride off to go find Thrawn and to go catch the Chimera, the big Star Destroyer, catch the Chimera before they jump. And obviously it makes sense. They're trying to get off the planet. Meanwhile, Hu Yang and the Noti people are fixing the ship. It makes perfect sense. That all makes sense. So Thrawn is basically fully prepared to send out just a legion of his night troopers to just go and die. And he understands, like, yeah, if they're going to die, I understand this. They're fighting against basically 3 Jedi at this point. They're going to die. And he doesn't care, because then the Night Sisters just revive them. We get a really, really badass action scene with all 3 of our Jedi, of Ahsoka with her dual wielding. We get Ezra with his new blue lightsaber. We get Sabine with her green lightsaber, which is actually Ezra's old lightsaber. We get a really, really cool scene of all of them just kicking some serious ass and killing some already dead stormtroopers. And it is awesome. So awesome. And then, of course, the Night Sisters revive them, which is even, like, also awesome, because, like, holy shit, they actually have necromantic magic in this series now, which is really cool. Yet again, this series giving us stuff that was, I believe, in Legend canon, that is now in actual canon. The Night Sisters can just revive people with dark magic, which I believe has been done before, because, let's be honest, Darth Maul 100% got revived, because that man got cut in half in the first movie. So, I need to go back and watch Clone Wars. I really need to go back and watch Clone Wars, especially after all this stuff. Pretty sure the Night Sisters did some of that magic back in Clone Wars when they were, you know, around still. But we'll get to them a little bit later as well. So the gang basically goes up. They're like, oh no, we got a zombie army after us. And they just start running as best they can to try and get to the ship. There's some really cool action scenes. Ahsoka then gets a showdown with Morgan Elspeth, and it is a badass action scene where they have a legit like samurai fight. It's basically round 2 from their fight for Mandalorian season 2, and it is awesome. It is very, very awesome. So great scene there, phenomenal scene there. Meanwhile, Ezra and Sabine run up to try and get on the ship. They have to fight some actual night troopers wearing, I believe, Beskar, because they cannot cut through that shit at all. So they're fighting some night troopers with Beskar. Eventually, they are able to get one of them on the ship. They do a really interesting, really neat, like, force maneuver where Ezra basically does a force jump, and then Sabine has to bust her ball of her force strength and force push Ezra onto the ship. And it actually works. Sabine figured out how to actually and get in touch with the Force and actually start using the Force. So it's really cool. So again, sets up the future of actually having Sabine train and become more of a Jedi along with her Mandalorian heritage as well, and become more of a Jedi using the Force because she can finally actually get in touch with the Force. It's really, really cool. So Hu Yang was wrong. She's not the worst Force user anymore. She's just mediocre at it. I'm joking. I love you, Sabine. You're the best. You're great. But Ezra gets on the ship. However, Sabine does not. And Ahsoka does not. They do not get on the ship. They have to stand back and fight more than Night Troopers and Morgan. During this whole time, Ahsoka does eventually kill Morgan Elspeth. Great ending for that character. That Morgan Elspeth, phenomenal antagonist. She killed it in this series so much, and also in Mandalorian, we had her there too. But Diana Lee Inosanto was so good as Morgan Elspeth, and honestly, very good ending. She had a very, very good fitting ending for her character, and it was just cool because, you know, she got the Night Sisters back, and that's all that really matters because Night Sisters are very cool. But either way, so Ahsoka and Sabine, they get back on the ship, on their ship. They start chasing after Thrawn, and Thrawn has a really neat conversation with Ahsoka over the communication array, and it's basically like, hey, I knew that Anakin was your master, so I had a feeling you were going to do a lot of stuff that he did. And you did, which is really cool. So now I'm wondering, you're going to do the other things that he did too. Like, you know, insinuating, obviously, are you going to go down to the dark side and become the new Vader? To which, obviously, we as an audience know, and Ahsoka herself also knows, no, already did all that in episode, 6. So, no, I'm not doing that. I already dealt with all that stuff, which is cool. It's a nice scene. Very cool scene. Thrawn jumps. Him and Ezra get back to the Prime Galaxy. And Ahsoka and Sabine Hu Yang are left stranded on the planet, along with Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, which we do see what they're doing at the end. Then there's a bunch of wrap-up stuff at the end of the episode, just kind of setting up the rest of whatever's going to happen, either Season 2 of Ahsoka or the movie. So there's a lot of, wrap-up stuff going on. So I'm just going to go kind of in order of, not necessarily importance, but kind of order of what they did for the most part. So the Empire back in the Prime Galaxy, they go to Dathomir. They're on Dathomir. And while they're on Dathomir, we basically get to see the cargo that they were transferring, and the Night Sisters obviously wanted to get back to Dathomir. You can kind of imply what the cargo was, since it was a tomb that they were stationed on. It's the bodies and the graves of all the other Night Sisters that were on the planet Pelia before. So they're going to revive the Night Sisters. We're about to get a full army of actual magic users back in Star Wars canon, and that's pretty badass and pretty cool. So that's awesome. Also, Thrawn's just back. The Empire is back. Next, I'm going completely out of order here, but next we get Ezra. He escapes. He does a peak Star Wars Rebels move of stealing some Stormtrooper armor, wearing it, hijacking a ship, and then just flying to the Rebels. Just flying to the New Republic. And it's like, hey guys, I'm here. Made it home. Yay. And of course, Chopper's the one who's like, yeah, no, this is Ezra, bro. I know what's going on here. We ran this scheme so many times back in Rebels. I know what's going on. This is Ezra. So we finally got the reunification of Ezra with Hera and Chopper, and it's really good. It's really, really good. And you can feel the emotion coming from Mary Elizabeth Winstead as well as Hera. So, somebody I forgot to point out, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Hera, great. She was great. Again, took an episode or two to get used to her, but I love her. I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead anyway, so I was going to love the character, so it's good. But anyway, we got the reunification of Ezra with part of the Rebels crew, so that's really cool. But we have Ezra back in the Prime universe, Prime Galaxy. That's really cool. It's wrapping up that story thread from the end of Rebels, which is really, really cool. So then, the final stuff back on the other planet of Pelia. I'm probably getting that name completely wrong. Palladium, whatever. You correct me in the comments if you want to. But either way, the other planet, the other galaxy. So, we see Shin Hati. We finally get to see what's going on with her. She just kind of rides to the bandit outpost and just kind of puts her lightsaber up, so signaling to them. So I can assume that she's going to start working with them, leading them possibly, just integrating with them, something like that. I don't know. But she's working with the outlaw bandit group that they had already been helping her, on the planet. So she's just kind of with them now. She's just on her own. She did not go back with the Empire like she says she was going to, which is very intriguing. Then Balin, we basically just see him standing on top of a very large statue of an old Dathmiri, ruler of some sort. Probably somebody from Legends. 100% of somebody from Legends. If you know the Legends, let me know down in the comments who that statue was of, or who you think it was of, because let's be honest, it was somebody from Legends. But he's standing on the statue and just looking out into the distance, clearly looking at something that is pointing to, looking for something. So we don't know what Balin is truly looking for. It could be the origin of the Force, could be the origin of the Jedi, could be the origin of whatever, but he's looking for something. He's looking for something, and it's out there in Season 2 or the movie, which is why it is so tragic that Ray Stevenson died and passed away, because what are they going to do with the character? I don't want them to do a CG AI type of thing. I don't want them to do that, because that would just be really, I feel like it would be disrespectful, because it's the same thing that they did with Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One, where he just looked fake. He looked so fake. He looked so animated. I would want them to just recast. And this is the thing that just happens in Hollywood, where it's you can just recast a character, and you don't have to forget the legacy of the character or who came before them to play them, but you can recast the character. And this wouldn't be the first time that Star Wars has recast a character. Namely, the entirety of the Rebels crew, minus Zeb, because he's still technically animated and voiced by the same voice actor. But they've recast the entire Rebels crew already. Now, yes, that is different as animation to live action. But still, they recast those characters. They have also recast in live action already, because they've already cast a younger Han Solo. They can do the same thing again if they need to. So, I just personally don't want them to do the disrespectful thing of just using a strange CG, AI generated version of Ray Stevenson, because that would be, to me, extremely disrespectful to his legacy and to the character. So I would say just recast. And I was talking with my dad earlier about it, because he's also a massive Star Wars fan, and someone online had said probably a close option that could kind of match a little bit of the acting style, maybe Gerard Butler would be an interesting one if he feels like doing it. But again, that is completely up to whatever Disney decides to do with this character. I just hope that Balin Skull continues as a character in this universe in one way or another. We're gonna definitely see him in comic books and books and games and such. We'll definitely see him there. But it just depends on what they do with live action, what they do with him. And then finally, to actually end the episode off, we get Ahsoka and we get Sabine with the Noti people just hanging out, just chilling, kind of discussing the fact that it's time to just move on. Ezra is where he needs to be in the Prime Galaxy, and they are where they need to be to move on, which to me signifies that they're about to restart the Jedi Order on this planet, and they're about to start training up some people and figuring out what's on this planet, because that makes the most sense. And then the episode fully ends with Sabine looking out at the distance, getting some type of force feeling, not sure what it is. Ahsoka then looks over as well. She starts smiling because she knows what it is, and the camera pans back and we see the Force ghost of Anakin. Hayden Christensen standing there as a Force ghost, as Jedi Anakin, in the robes and everything, and he smiles. And we can kind of interpret this as Anakin finally being able to rest, knowing that his Padawan isn't becoming like him, and he can rest knowing that he ended on the light side of the Force, not the dark side, because he was able to fully teach his Padawan the lessons that he wasn't able to learn when he was alive, and he got to finally teach her those lessons in the War Between Worlds and whatever. So he got to finally end as a true Jedi, which, to go back to the little bit of nitpicky in the weeds stuff, does kind of, again, mess up some things in the sequels because of the fact that Kylo Ren has Vader's helmet, and we can get some weird dark energy off of Vader's helmet there, and the whole him talking to Vader's helmet as if Vader didn't end as a hero character. Also, it does kind of defeat the whole sacrifice of Vader as well, since Palpatine just somehow came back, and we knew about this from Fortnite. Yeah. I don't want to rag on the sequels anymore. I really don't. Like Sabine, like Ezra and Ahsoka. It's time to just move on. It's time to just move on. But I just had to say that as well because we got Hayden Christensen back again. But that was the episode. That was the full episode. That was basically my complete rundown of like big events that happened in the episode and my thoughts about all those big events as well. This series is easily the best Star Wars series they've done. Like, hands down, easily. I feel like it's because Dave Filoni had full control over it, and he knew exactly what he was doing with this series from start to finish. There was a lot of really good like Legends Easter eggs in there for the people who know them. A lot of really great wrapping up and tying up of storylines from so many different eras, so many different areas as well, that it all just worked. And the whole story that was being told as well of failed teachers redeeming themselves for their students and students learning from their teachers, and the return of Thrawn, the return of Ezra, and the continuing on of the story was so good, especially now since there is an entire new book being written, in a way, if you want to talk about it, where like the Prime Galaxy is one story. It is one book of chapters of this grand Star Wars saga. Well, now we have another book being written in this other galaxy with Ahsoka and Sabine, which is really, really cool. And I'm very excited to see what they do with that, because we don't know what happens to them. We don't know what happens to them at all, and we don't know what goes on in that other galaxy. Plus, Thrawn's back. We don't know what goes on with Thrawn. We don't know. So, very exciting time for Star Wars to see what they do and to see where they're going from here. And I am extremely excited to see where they go. So that's my review. I very much love this episode, and I very, very much love this series. This series was so good. Only one minor down, which was just episode 7, was a little disappointing, but they wrapped it up perfectly for me, and everything ended the exact way that I feel like it should have ended. So that is my review of Star Wars Ahsoka. This series was great. Now, with all that being said, let me know down in the comments what did you think of this series and what did you think of this finale as well, and where do you think they're going to be going in the future with the storytelling, or what do you hope that you see in the future of this saga, and what do you hope to see in the future of Star Wars in general, and where do you hope they go from here? Let me know all that down in the comments below. And if you like this review, leave a like as well. It helps out in boosting everything on the channel up in the almighty algorithm, so more people can see the content I make and see the stuff that I put out to you all. And if you want to become part of the channel community as well, go ahead and subscribe as well. You'll be notified of all the videos I upload, because I upload multiple times a week, and I try to do that actual weekly. I try to keep a schedule, and I post a schedule on Mondays, and I talk about it on Fridays as well. So make sure you read the community post if you can. But yeah, let me know down in the comments, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to see more from the channel, right over here's going to be a playlist for another Star Wars thing. Go ahead and watch that too. Over here's going to be a video that YouTube recommends for you as well. And until next time, stay great, everyone. Stay great. May the Force be with you, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, peace, everyone. Peace.